At some point in life, you're gonna run up against some things that is gonna absolutely scare you, and you have to decide whether or not you're either gonna jump in there and do it or not. And before I even started rebuilding rep bikes, I was afraid of it, and eventually I finally bought one and it turned out great. And then we ran a giveaway for the bike, and I'm absolutely terrified, or was terrified of doing that. But we did it. And now I'm on this second chief project, and I'm getting a bit concerned because when we started off doing this, I had never taken a motor out of a bike before. That's an entirely different thing. It's a lot involved, but we got it done. But the more I work on this project, the deeper I get into this project with this bike, the more scarier and terrifying it gets, because things were supposed to be so simple and it's turning out to not be simple. And I'm finding this out over and over every time I get a wrecked bike. The first one had its issues, now this one has its issues, and I hope that the Super Chief doesn't have his own bag of issues. But I was supposed to only take the covers off of the motor and have them powder coated. But I recently found out that the oil leak that I thought was going to be a simple thing turned out to be an entire hole or crack in the crankcase, which, if you didn't know, that is the bottom end of the motor. And the only way to fix that so the bike doesn't leak, and for it to be, well, the motor to not leak and do it properly, you have to take the entire motor apart down to almost nothing. And those cases are like almost $4,000. And I'm getting choked up just thinking about it. And the plan was, now is for me to take the motor apart. And I've never in my life taken a motor apart. This is my first time ever getting the heads off of the motor, push rods, lifters, all of that. And while it's been a smooth process, it's absolutely terrifying, because getting the motor out of the bike is one thing, but when you're inside of a motor, not only taking it apart, but trying to put it back together and you've never done it before, there's so much room for something to go wrong, so much room for you to put, like you didn't torque something down correctly, or something wasn't timed properly with another piece. And then you put it all back together, you slap it in the bike, and then come to find out you didn't do something right and it has to come out all over again. The worst case, you're riding on the bike and something just fails internally, like a lifter or the valve train gives out. There's just so much that can go wrong. And I'm terrified. I'm absolutely terrified. And it's fun though. It's fun, but I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say that I don't feel like. I'm not gonna lie and not say that I don't feel over my head a little bit, because this is a lot, man. So right now we got the motor sitting over there, and the bottom end has to come out, and hopefully it all goes to plan. But we got the parts that I need to get off to go through the first experience of getting something powder coated. But for those of you out there that are terrified with something, there's always room to continue to do risk, like levels of risk, like what could go wrong. But on the other side of it, it's like what could go right. There may not be a problem with the motor once I, finish it, but it's just a thought of like, dang, this is really hard. But there's always an opportunity to learn, and on the other side of the fear, as they say, there's opportunity and success. So that's what we're gonna do. And I really thought about this when I was taking this motor. I was like, dude, this could go sour and sideways so fast. But just like the first bike, we're gonna hunker down and we're gonna figure it out. And I just wanna let you know that if you're out there terrified of something, you should just do it and just figure it out as you go. So if you haven't been caught up on this series and what I'm doing with this bike, you can click right here and start that playlist from the beginning and catch up on everything and see why I had to do this in the first place. But as always, thanks for listening. And if you're subscribed, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.